All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to now get into talking about the Chiefs Broncos game. Chiefs picking up a win, a low scoring game, 16-14 ended up being the final score. So we'll get into that. And the Broncos, they were coming off of that blowout loss to the Ravens, and it didn't get any easier, of course, because you of course have to go to Arrowhead, which is again that is a very tough place to play, but Broncos had a chance to win this game. They really did because at the end they're kicking a game-winning field goal and it ends up getting blocked. But it's just a very tough loss for them, and I the Chiefs are lucky. It just seems like at times luck is on their side, and it was on their side here. Because this was a chip shot field goal that Will Lutz would have definitely made if it didn't get blocked, and it got blocked. And unfortunately, maybe the Chiefs are the team of destiny to be the first team to three-peat. But I don't know. That's kind of, I do look at that because listen, we could talk about the greatness of a lot of these players that have come through the NFL, but you do have to have a little bit of luck on your side. I do agree with that. And, the Chiefs were able to, make a great play to, stop a chip shot field goal, and they're 9-0 on the season. And, again, this game did not look pretty. A lot of people say they definitely should have lost, and, I don't disagree with you, but they got the win. They're 9-0 right now. So, to kind of look at how this game went, a lot of punts to start off the game, but then the Broncos went 9 plays, 80 yards down the field. And Bo Nix connected with the rookie Devon Veli. I think that's how you pronounce his name. For his first, I think it was his first career touchdown. So that made it 7-0 Broncos. And then the Chiefs, the Chiefs kicked the field goal. They went 10 plays, 52 yards, and Harrison Butker from 36 yards out made a field goal. But then the Broncos, they responded. You had 10 plays by Estime, the running back. Lil Jordan Humphrey had a 20-yard reception. And then Bo Nix connected with Cortland Sutton on 3rd and 2 for a 32-yard touchdown, and that made it 14-3. But the game was not over by any means. Then the Chiefs responded. They went 11 plays, 70 yards down the field, and on 4th and goal, Mahomes connected with Travis Kelce. The defensive back on the Broncos fell down. So I wonder, if he doesn't slip, does he make a play on the ball? And that was a big play in the game. If you stop the Chiefs there, that would have been huge. But, yeah, so that ended up being a touchdown, so it was a 4-point game. And then Will Lutz from 60 yards. Towards the end of the first half, he tries to kick it and that one supposedly ends up getting blocked, but that fell a little bit short. McCole Hardman ended up returning it, and he did a lot of running on that play, but I thought he was going to run it back the way it was going, but no, he ended up getting tackled, and he just had to catch his breath because he did, like I said, did a lot of running on that play. So then in the second half, both teams punted on their first possessions. The Chiefs then went down the field. He had a 35-yard pass play to Samaje Perine, and then eventually, they get down to the 10, and they have to settle for a field goal, a 28-yarder by Harrison Butker, so that made it 14-13. More punts, and then the Chiefs, late in the fourth quarter, you had a 31-yard reception by DeAndre Hopkins, and on 4th and 2 from the Denver 2-yard line, Butker ends up kicking a 20-yarder. And then the Broncos, they get into field goal range. They get all the way down to the Chiefs' 27, and Will Lutz's field goal gets blocked. It was going to be a 35-yard field goal. So I guess, maybe it wasn't a chip shot, but, he should make that. It just, the Chiefs ended up making a great play on it, and they win 16-14. Bo Nix, 22 of 30, 215 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, was sacked a couple of times. The Broncos ran the ball for 78 yards. Ardrick Estime, their rookie running back, he was their leading rusher. He had 53 yards on the ground. Cortland Sutton, he continues to play well, 6 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown, although he did have a big drop in the first half. that I think would have made the field goal a lot easier for Will Lutz. I think it was on that drive. You had the rookie, Veli, 4 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown. Adam Troutman had 1 for 34. Broncos defense, 4 sacks in the game on Mahomes, who went 28 of 42 for 266 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Kareem Hunt had 35 yards on the ground. He also was their leading receiver. He had 7 receptions for 65 yards. Travis Kelce had 8 for 64 and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins had 4 for 56. And, the Chiefs get the win. They improved to 9-0 on the season. And, look, it hasn't looked pretty. A lot of these games have been one-score games, but they're getting it done. They're 9-0, and they're sitting comfortably right now. They're the number 1 seed in the AFC, and most likely, if you're going to want to get to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to go through Arrowhead once again. And, do I think the Chiefs are going to three-peat? Look, I have them doing that. But, offensively, they're going to have to, they're going to figure it out. They are going to figure it out. They are going to get Isaiah Pacheco back at some point. So, you're going to have him and Kareem Hunt together, which should be a nice little combo. Kareem Hunt has done a nice job. I mean, he doesn't have the explosiveness like he did when he first, got drafted by the Chiefs. The first couple years he was there. But, he's getting the job done. And, getting Pacheco back, that'll be huge. So, and then you got Juju Smith-Schuster coming back. So, they're getting some reinforcements on this offense. But I don't know what's going on with them. It's just, it's strange. But this is what happened last year. And look what happened. So, I think they're going to be fine. I mean, once we get to the postseason, they're going to they're going to flip that switch. But they do have a big game coming up with the Buffalo Bills. And I think this is a big game for the Bills because they want to avenge a bigger game for the Bills because they want to avenge that playoff loss. They do. And I know all of America, it seems, at least looking on TikTok, everybody's rooting for the Bills. And that game will be played in Buffalo. So, hey, maybe Tyler Bass kicks a game-winning field goal in that. I mean, look, it's only Tuesday, but we'll get into it. And then as for the Broncos, I thought, Bo Nix, he made some good plays, of course. I mean, the touchdown to Cortland Sutton, that was a good pitch and catch. I know, again, Sutton had a costly drop in the game that, maybe could have resulted in points there, making the field goal a little bit easier. But if it was that drive. But, Bo Nix, I mean, it looks like the Broncos have their guy. I mean, if you can surround this guy with more talent, and I think Sean Payton has done a great job, with him, now that he has his quarterback that he wanted. The Broncos, I think, are on the come up. And, look, I mean, their season is by no means over with this loss. I mean, it definitely is a gut punch. I mean, you saw all the players on the sidelines after the field goal ends up getting blocked, and they were destroyed by that because they should have won. And right now I think they're still the third wild card team. So, and right now the next team behind them is the Colts, who are 2.5 games back, and then you got the Bengals after that, and they play the Bengals later in the year. But the Broncos, they have the Falcons coming up at home, which we'll talk about the Falcons later in the show, but I don't know what to make of the Falcons right now. You got the Browns at home, you're in Vegas to take on the Raiders. I think they should win that. You're home against the Browns. I think you should win that. You play the Colts at home. I would lean towards that being a win. But then the last 3 games, you got the Chargers, the Bengals, who have a very good offense, and the Chiefs again. So, look, the Broncos, I think, will finish close to 500 or like 8-9, I'm thinking, or get 9 wins. I'm seeing that 8 or 9 wins right now. But they have a good defense. Bo Nix, I think, is playing well with what he's got. So they could be a playoff team. But they do have some tough games remaining on the schedule. And the Falcons is not an easy game either. Even though I don't know what's going, I really don't understand what's going on with them. They are just they're a weird team right now. But Yeah, the Chiefs, they just continue to roll. They continue to find ways to win. And now they take on the Bills. The Bills, I think this is that one game that I did look at this game as maybe being a potential loss, but I still ended up taking them with the points, and I still thought they were going to win. But I did see the potential of them losing this game just because, last year the Broncos beat them, and they're playing well this year, and they almost won, but they got shut out in the second half. You're not gonna win many games by getting shut out in the second half. I mean, ask the Houston Texans. They had a bigger lead, and they blew that. They got shut out in the second half, and that's exactly what happened with the Broncos. The Chiefs only scored 6 points in the second half, but it was enough to win the game. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you think about this game. What were your takeaways from it? Let me know in the comments. So before we go to break, I just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate, get your comments recognized. Make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat of any thought or comment you want to see me acknowledge during the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCPodcast.net. That is GSMCPodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we are going to talk about, the next two segments, we will be talking about the New York teams. We'll first be discussing the Jets and their loss to the Arizona Cardinals, 31-6. We'll get into that and just, kind of dissect how that game went and, really what's how the Jets are going to look the rest of the way this season, and maybe kind of discuss a little bit how it's going to look beyond that, because there's going to be it's going to be interesting what they end up doing at the end of the year and what certain guys end up doing at the end of the year. We'll get into all that when we return from our next break. So with that being said, stick around and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.